I want to do the intro. Man, Phil's podcast. I want to talk about Phil's podcast too.
I want to watch that.
Dude,
It's good.
did you listen to it?
I haven't. No.
Dude, I'm telling you, I should call Phil. Get on the call.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, say it again, Jeff.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, you know what? That was the lag on the YouTube thing.
Did you like my little note to the group about you, Phil, and me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think you're like, I would encourage you to just form smaller groups to have deeper discussions.
Yeah.
I think that's what that's what makes churches grow.
Yes.
You know, when you have groups, then you break off into groups, then you break off into groups.
Yes.
You know, and then something happens with those groups. It's just interesting how that happens, how the Lord does that. So, all right, let's see here. Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land, soon to be Facebook land. Again, this is Kurt Robinson, our senior pastor of the Faith Church. And today we want to welcome you to our episode of Momentum, a Stewardship Idea. And as always, I'm glad to have my co-host on today. He is the man with the plan. I actually call him my big brother. He is older than me. He really is, which, you know, he's only older than me by like a few years. So that means that because I look young, that means that he's young. And I'm being full of myself right now. But if Salt had pepper, if Bat had Rob, then I'm Salt, he's Pepper.
Pepper.
What's going on there, Jeffrey? How are you today?
Another wonderful day. We get to be here.
Exactly.
We are present.
Exactly. So while we're here, so this is what I'll say. I'm not gonna throw any shade on anybody, or I'm not going to throw anything under the bus. We had a guest scheduled for today, right? And so, you know, as we continue to work out this discussion, this narrative every week, I want him to know, I'm not going to say his name, but you know, you're kind of interested because I was able to get Cornell West on, but I wasn't able to get you on. So you must be ultra special. So I want you to feel good about yourself, my brother, and we'll try to catch up with you later on. I do understand that things come up, but man, you know, we're important, man. This is momentum, a stewardship idea, and you know, we're going to do something very, very good. So, in any event, it's myself and Jeffrey today, and we're going to. Yeah, go ahead.
I wrote something, and you know, we talked 10 minutes ago, changing my mind.
Oh, okay.
You okay with that?
Yeah.
So you mind if I read this?
No, I don't mind if you read it. Let me see if I can do this first, though. Give me a second. Hold that pen right there. Hold it. I got to get Phil Dillard on the show again.
Yeah, he's great.
Phil has a dynamite podcast. It's on Spotify. Just pull up Phil Dillard, and it's just great. It sounds much like NPR, man. I'm telling you. Let me see if I can do this. I've been having some intuitions. Hold on. Did you hear that, Jeffrey?
I'm here.
Did you hear that?
No.
Okay. Stop it.
Good day and welcome to Momentum, a stewardship idea. This show is brought to you by the Faith Church, located at 2680 64th Avenue in East Oakland, California. The Faith Church believes that we should celebrate faith one day at a time. The purpose of Faith Church is to create a transformational and secure experience for all people. We want to reach people where they are because we know that everyone deserves the right to celebrate their lives. Go to our website at www.fbcoak.org. That's www.fbcoak.org. And be brought up to date on all our virtual activities. This show is also brought to you by the Faith Missionary Services, Inc. Established in 2000, the Faith Missionary Services, Inc. is a public benefit corporation. We are currently featuring the Georgia Otis Food Pantry and partnering with the Alameda County Community Food Bank. Named after one of the co-founders of this organization and partnering with the Alameda County Community Food Bank, we have our weekly giveaway at 2680 64th Avenue in Oakland, California. Our food giveaway begins every Wednesday at 8 a.m. and ends at 12 p.m. That's the Georgia Otis Food Pantry, first responders in a COVID-19 culture. And now our host, Curtis O. Robinson.
All right. So now I know what to do next time. We gotta give Phil. Man, Phil is like making me feel like a rank amateur. All right. So let's get into our discussion for today, and you're gonna kick it off.
Thanks. Well, you and I were talking about some stuff, and I play a lot of tennis, as you know, Bar, and I'm a member of this organization called the National Senior Men's Tennis Association, and they sent a request out for guys to come up with stories. The guys in this group are, pretty much my age and older. There's a couple younger, but it's a bunch of guys that have plied their trade on the tennis court and other things, and had a couple of good friends, guys that I knew. Didn't really know them that way. They were friends, but two guys died last week. Larry Turville, who was just a wonderful tennis player, and a guy that was a phenomenal baseball player who started playing tennis and just brought this joy to the court. His name was Joe Morgan, the baseball player, and Joe would just chase down every ball. He didn't know when to quit. Everybody else goes, that's a good shot, but Joe would get that one more ball that no one else really knew that he could. So anyway, I was writing a story just about 20 minutes ago that I'm going to submit. It'll probably be edited a couple of times, but I thought I might share it with you. It's called The Stick. So with your permission, and this is the first time it's been read out loud to anyone other than me. The Stick.
So first, ladies and gentlemen, you're hearing it first right here live on Momentum, a stewardship idea. This is getting recorded, so I had to put that in there. Go.
Cool. Thank you. So here it is. Driving north across the Golden Gate Bridge on a Friday afternoon is one of the most beautiful drives one can make. Looking to the east, you can see scores of sailboats slicing across the bay, some with colorful spinnakers, others tacking to windward, and some under the power of their iron jinny. That means an engine, just cruising. To the west, if the skies are clear, you can spy the Farallon Islands, famous for the great white sharks that patrol its shores, searching for unsuspecting seals and sea lions. What a wonderful transition point to cross after a week of analyzing companies, allocating capital, and watching as Mr. Market extracts his penalties for any laziness in plying our trade as hedge fund managers. Just a short 18-minute drive, and I'll be at the club for a competitive and enjoyable doubles match. The best laid plans of mice and men are jarringly interrupted by a weekend-seeking horde of San Francisco's jamming US 101 North, barely inching their way forward. Instead of being 30 minutes early, I'll be lucky to arrive on time. Drat, actually, harsher word would say drat. I exit onto Sir Francis Drake Boulevard and try to snake my way through traffic. If I can time the lights correctly, maybe I'll be on time, or at least no more than 7 or 8 minutes late. So I pull up to the club. I see the other three exchanging rallies and glancing at the street, awaiting my arrival. I jump out of my car, race to the locker room, and run onto the court. Made it. We fall behind Love 4 in what seems like no more than 10 minutes. How'd that happen? 2 years ago, I discovered Shinrin Yoku, forest bathing. It's a great practice of absorbing the forest atmosphere, very calming and restorative. Before beginning a hike, you place a stick in front of you on the path. You don't step over the stick until you are ready to be in the hike. I've adapted that practice into my tennis life. I literally place a stick across the outside of the court and I wait until I'm ready. Then I step over the stick and begin my play. I'm present. I'm here for tennis and tennis only. I don't carry the interruptions of a tough drive or a hard conversation. Likewise, I step over the stick after the completion of the tennis. Presence is the present I give myself and my fellow players. So let's try to be present today. Don't worry about what's going to happen. The Bible talks about it a lot, worrying about the future, dwelling on the past. Be present.
Very good. Very good. Let's be present. Let's be present right now. It's I heard you mention Joe Morgan, right?
Yeah.
And great baseball player. He had that thing with the little hitch.
Yeah.
He was he was a lefty, so
Yeah,
it would be
there.
the hitch. So we're like little kids playing, stickball in the street, whatever. We go up, we're like, doing a Joe Morgan, the Big Red Machine, Johnny Bench, Sal. Let's see, Johnny Bench. Tony Perez, George Foster, Dave Concepcion. I thought that dude was like just the coolest.
Was Pete Rose? Pete Rose on that team?
Rose was on that team. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm trying to remember some of the pitchers that were on that team also. But those guys could hit. And George Foster was a beast, dude.
Yep.
That guy I wonder, is he in the Baseball Hall of Fame?
He's in mine.
Yes, he is, isn't he? Here's a tidbit of information. I used to be Joe Morgan's mother's pastor.
No way.
Yes way. I actually met Joe Morgan a few times. And his sister was a member of my church. Also, she unfortunately passed.
I'm sorry.
And I think that was the first time I actually met him face to face. Was I had to preach her funeral at the church, and then after the church, after the service, we hung out, at the repast, and we talked. Cool guy, man, and was really into youth initiatives.
Yeah.
Was an Oakland stud. He now let me tell you, Jeff. I don't see how I can put this as far as Oakland business is concerned. He had first of all, he had a multinational presence, right? I think that helped him to negotiate the choppy waters of Oakland's business sector, right? Because it was clear to them that with him, I don't need to be here to make money.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm a baseball player. I've done that. I've done well. Hall of Fame, player. Well, not at that time, but as time began to progress, had a meaningful and relevant relationship with the Coors family, right?
Right.
As well as other, families, in America, and just brought a sense of sheer class, right, and utter relevance to Oakland's scene when it came to public service, when it came to how to conduct yourself as an athlete, off the field, right? Come from wonderful parents that, I'm still friends with his sister today, and I'm giving you a call, Patty, because I know I haven't talked to you since your brother passed. But just a real outstanding guy, a real outstanding person, and I'm not going to say not much like some of the guys we see today, in Oakland. We have prospected Oakland, and but again, one good term deserves another, and we will continue to prospect Oakland, and we're not through until this footprint gets laid. Then we plant some apple trees that we know and that we will never eat an apple from. But my granddaughter your granddaughter, yeah,
Right.
absolutely, will one day.
So I grew up in Belleville, Illinois, right across the river from St. Louis,
Yeah.
and would go over and watch the Cardinals play. I went to Stan Musial's last baseball game. I think it was against Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Stan got up, had a hit his last at bat. I think it was like the 5th inning, and they pulled him out of the game. The Cardinals ended up winning in extra innings. One of the most phenomenal statistics of Stan Musial, he had 3,630 hits in his career, 1,815 at home, 1,815 on the road. This was not a hometown baseball player. Got to watch some phenomenal players. I remember telling my dad, if he couldn't be my dad, I wanted Bill White to be my dad because I was the first baseman. I didn't know any better.
That story before, dude. What did your dad say?
He said, you couldn't pick a better guy. But we watched, there was a guy, Cardinals had a player named Ernie Broglio, pretty good pitcher. Started to break down a little bit. There was this young kid in the Cubs that the Cardinals traded Broglio for, and everyone's going, why that? Who's this Lou Brock guy? How good could he be?
Yeah,
beginning of a phenomenal career. We had Kurt Flood, who changed all professional sports.
We did.
Just some phenomenal guys. And you think back as a little kid, we had Bill White at first base, Julian Javier at second, Dick Grote at third, Ken Boyer at third base. So
Ken Boyer, boy.
Ken Boyer's brother Cleet, Bob Gibson. Man, you wouldn't want to crowd the plate with that man. And then the outfield, Flood, Brock, James. It was phenomenal watching baseball. When Stan Musial retired, we have these farewell trips and the like.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing they gave him was a harmonica.
A harmonica.
That was it.
Why?
Because he loved the harmonica. It wasn't about the money.
You say it was a big harmonica, like?
No, just a little. But we got. They made him an honorary Boy Scout, maybe an honorary Eagle Scout.
Wow.
And that's what it was about.
Yeah.
It's still great.
A musical for Musio.
But it was so much fun. I think I told you when I was in high school, I got to play for a little school over in Belleville. We were pretty good, and we played East St. Louis Lincoln, and it still hurts. I got to tackle Kellen Winslow.
Wait a minute.
Ow.
Hey guys, come on. So let's talk about that right now. You had an opportunity to tackle Kellen Winslow. Now, Jeff, we want you to tell the truth. Did you tackle him, or did he tackle you while you were trying to tackle him?
He did not fall into the end zone.
Oh. And what happened to you?
I don't remember.
Dude.
That was a man. That was a man playing with boys.
Yeah, certainly went on to just set just amazing records. What's interesting, it's kind of interesting when we're talking about Joe Morgan, right? And I'm talking about my experience that I've had with him, right? Even when I worked in San Francisco, we were talking about trying to put initiatives for the youth,
Right.
because the church that I pastored was in West Oakland at the time. And it was in a place they call it Ghost Town, right? So, you have these sections of Oakland, Ghost Town. Now, this is just in West Oakland. And you've heard our colleague Phil Dillard talk about West Oakland so brilliantly, So this is in like the early 2000s. Jerry Brown is the mayor at this time. And Oakland is just really kind of off the hook. You have the riders, that are in that, that narrative, right? But I passed in what they call Ghost Town. And then you had on the other side, you had Dog Town, right?
Is this 3rd district or what?
This was, District 3.
District
Yeah, I
3?
would say District 3. Yeah, right on. We were like on the fringes of District 3, not that far from the port, right? But anyway, I think they call it Ghost Town because of all the unsolved murders. that were there. Literally one morning, I'm driving to church. Got my kids they were kids then. You met my family, my boys were short at that particular time.
They've grown up very nicely.
Yeah, now they're taller than me. Then I was taller than them. Thank you very much. Thank you. And there was the police out there, the body wrapped up on the corner, man. They're like yellow tape all around, down the street. There was an abandoned, I guess it was an abandoned apartment building, the kind where you go into the apartment complex.
Right.
And some kid runs out of there. We see him run out. And, 10 minutes later, police just drive to that spot because a homicide had taken place. And we believe that we actually saw the kid. Well, it's like this. We saw who was running out of there.
Yeah.
On our way to church, So, I have memories of, working with him, trying to, he was really trying to benefit the community. Again, one of the things that he talked about was how you look at Major League Baseball, right? At one point, now just isolate on the city of Oakland, in that community, it was a hot spot for African-American Major League Baseball players. Willie Stargell, who went to McClymonds High School, Ricky Henderson, okay, Joe Morgan. There are others, that I can't really, those three distinctively, I know, came out of the Oakland, Parks and Recreation department. And so
how tall was Joe?
About 5'7".
Yeah.
About 5'7". Very intelligent, man. You will hear him on, because when I was pastoring the church where his mom was at, God bless her soul, he was doing Sunday night baseball on ESPN. Wow. And so I would, be at church and go like, all right, Brother Morgan's going to be on TV tonight. Let's all make sure we look at the baseball game. And then, again, I probably have, watch this. I'm sure that Paul Cobb has an archive of me and Joe Morgan at the church. I remember it was one Sunday after church. And again, he was doing something for the children. And there was this big group shot of him and me and the kids. There was kids surrounding us and stuff. It hit the front page of the Oakland Post. I was big time in Oakland. I was on the front page of the Post with Joe Morgan, right?
Okay, was Joe Morgan on the front page with you, or were you on the front page with
No,
Joe?
I was on the front page with Joe Morgan.
Okay.
All right. The W/ that would be me, right? But he would always talk about, how strategically they shut down parks and recreation, in major urban centers, across the country, to stop the inflow of African-American talent that was making it to the farm club and making it into the major leagues.
Yeah.
And then I think we got a guest. We went fishing today, ladies and gentlemen. I love the show, man. I don't know if people can handle that. It's like, man, come on, get on this show. Okay. So this is a mortgage guy. He does church mortgages.
Really?
Yeah, he's my guy, actually.
Cool.
Hold on a second. But we saw, like now you saw that funnel getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And watch this. It wasn't like the MLB was saying no to black guys, because they was going over to Cuba and to the Dominican Republic and to other spots in Latin America, filling color spots, right? Listen, I'm not hating on Latin American baseball players. Those good dudes were good. Today, my favorite Latin Major League Baseball player is Roberto Clemente.
3,000 hits.
Man, I remember seeing him play. The dude, he reminded me of Willie Mays. How he played, his style. Dude was reckless, man.
Didn't he have exactly 3,000?
I don't know. I can look it up real quick.
I think he did. While you're looking it up, I'm going to tell a story.
Okay, go ahead.
There was a guy named Warren Spahn.
I remember that name. San Francisco Giants.
Spahny. At this time, he was playing for the for the they were playing against the New York, or they're playing against the Boston. I think he was at that point. Spotty was pitching for the Boston Braves, and they were playing against the New York Giants.
Mm-hmm.
There was this kid who was up there, new rookie. Spani was at that point the best left-handed pitcher ever, and this kid was about to get sent down to the minors. He just hadn't done well at all. Spani gets up there, couple strikes, and then throws one of his nasty balls, and boom, the kid plants it in the seats. And they asked Spani after the game, the sports writer said, "What happened with the pitch?" And he said, "For the first 60 feet, it was perfect. Unfortunately, it's 60 feet, 6 inches. And the kid was Willie Mays."
Wow. The first 60 feet, it was great, huh? You're pretty good with the baseball stats. Roberto Clemente, 3,000 hits, 1,305 runs batted in. Batting average 317.
Amazing.
Golly, dude. Home runs 240.
Yeah.
And he played 18 seasons in the major leagues.
Died in a plane crash?
Plane crash, doing a humanitarian work.
Yeah.
Yep, doing humanitarian work, man. Let's see here. Watch this. Email. Doing humanitarian work. Don't laugh, man. Come on, man. It's like,
I love you, man.
oh man, let's see what's gonna happen.
Doing the magic of Zoom.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So I just sent my finance guy. Let's see if he pops it.
Give him the link.
Yeah, I did.
Good.
Because you can invite people right here, right now. You're invited. You're what? No. One night on the radio show, this pastor from Chicago, because we allow people to pop in there on the after show, and dude, he was like in bed, man. He was like, "Is he in bed?" Then he closed, like.
Hey, that was a fun meeting this morning as we're potentially waiting for your friend to come on our 6:30 call.
6:30 call this morning.
This morning.
Westminster.
Yeah.
It was. It got set off. It unnerved and it unhoused people. Now, this is what I was going to say about that. Just one thing. You have to understand. Look. What we have done in America is that we have turned government into a religion, is what we have done. And when you start talking about abortion rights, basically what you're saying is does the church, does the government, can it fill the role of God? I think that's what you're cutting across with. And let's be clear, in every presidential election, everyone that I have remembered, the question of abortion always comes up. Even in this search and seize for a new court justice, what record are they playing? They're playing the abortion record. We talked about that at Harvard. E.J. Dionne, we talked about it several times, man. And what I found out, though, was the significance that religion and politics play with one another. We could talk about separation of church and state. But when you start talking about politicians who need votes, they find themselves at the church because those votes are reliable votes, right? Those votes are people who have been time tested. They're faithful to that vote. They believe it's a part of their Christian service or their spiritual service. And it's steady. That's why they come there. They come to my church. And I'm sure they come to your church, probably. Yeah. It's like that's a stable, they consider that, part of the citizenry stable. But we have these discussions, right? And I like how you took it, because you turned it to a discussion about love. That's what we need to get.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's what we need to get. You inspired me, with the comment called The Last War. And because I believe that the last war that America will fight will be the one when classism, the knees of classism get broken. And once the knees of classism get broken, then America will have to share itself with the rest of the world, much like the way Europe does right now. I went on a bike ride in the French countryside this morning.
Nice.
Yep. That's all I like about Peloton.
Yeah.
So Peloton has these instructors, right? I guess I'm giving Peloton a plug. Let's see if Kevin shows up. I sent him the link. He likes to talk. Here you go, buddy. And you have these instructors, right? I'm 59 years old. I get it. I understand it, right? I have 59 and a half years of gravity that's working on me. It's pulling me down every day. It's been doing it consistently for 59 and never missed. The gravity has never said I'm taking a day off, ever. Like, hey, Kurt, I'm calling in sick, man. I'll catch up with you tomorrow, right? Never. And so, they have these instructors. And they're all like teenagers. And man, I did the one ride, with the instructors, this young lady. She was fit and all that, probably early 20s, got her ponytail just banging and all over the place. I'm like, this lady trying to kill me, man. I'm like, I wanted to send her a text real quick, like, hey, I'm 59. Could you slow down on some of that? So anyway, there's another instructor on there. And I give her, her name is Christine DeCole, right? DeCole. She's a cyclist. She's an international cyclist. She's won like 15 world awards, right? But she's older. So she's like 49. So her rides are civil.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was in San Diego years ago, and I was in the Navy, and this girl that was trying to become a tennis player said, hey, you got to come with me to the whatever the fitness center was. We've got a little sit-up class. I'm in good shape. I can do sit-ups. That'll be no problem. So I get there, and the instructor goes, okay, let's start with 300, and then we'll really get to work. Now, this was 1979, so nobody had cell phones, but I pretended like I had one. I took a call and got the heck out of there.
I really did. That's like 30 years ago.
It was more than that.
40.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
40.
I must have been about 7.
42 years ago. 41 years ago. Is that 7?
But you're as I had a great uncle who was a great uncle, Paul Farthing. Paul was, and I've talked about this is Uncle Paul. His brother was the blind judge, and Paul was the one that died. So anyway, he was a carpenter, and he and his buddies were out on a drive one day. They had their big old Packard or whatever, and they're at Scott Air Force Base right outside of Belleville, Illinois, which he had helped build in the 30s. So 90 years ago, almost 90 years ago. And
wow.
So Uncle Frank, because Frank was Paul's brother. So Frank's driving, and there was a guy sitting next to him, and then Mr. Smith, who was in his 80s. So he was the kid. He was sitting in the back seat, and they're driving along, and Mr. Smith says, Mr. Thompson, I think there's something amiss. And he said, or maybe is there something awry? And he said, what is it? He goes, well, there's a police car behind us. So Uncle Frank pulled the car over. It was an air policeman. This was on board on the base. And the guy comes up and sees that it's 3 elderly gentlemen, if you will. And in a very, very respectful way said, sir, is everything okay? May I help in any way? And Uncle Frank said, no, is there something amiss? He said, well, sir, you're driving on the runway. So Uncle Frank drove back to the senior center where he lived, parked his car, walked to the DMV the next day and surrendered his license.
Wow. He's like, I get it.
Yeah. And 7 years later, he was 103, either 103, 104.
Wow.
And he was read his 3 newspapers. He'd read every day. His wife, Aunt Sue, my dad's aunt, a couple years earlier, she had died. So Uncle Frank's 103 read his newspapers and said, I think that's enough. And passed. And he passed.
Wow. Wow.
He went home.
Agreed.
He went home.
Yeah. People talk about living for a long time, right? But I mean, if you could, would you really? I mean, I love life just like anybody else, right? But I just can't see myself living to be 200.
No, when you read in the Bible that, so-and-so was 900 years old and whatever.
Yeah, Methuselah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good with being just a couple years older than you.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can start getting into Jewish mysticism, right?
Kabbalah.
And imagery. You start opening up a Pandora's box. Is actually what begins to happen.
Okay, so here's a question for you, Pastor.
Sure.
When does eternal life begin?
Eternal life obviously begins for the individual when God has conceived that life, because at that particular point the Spirit of God has inflamed the I would say the crater of human growth, and so it's up to God, right? That guides that growth process, that brings that spark of life, into a more physical existence, So, we all, come from, a conglomeration of cells, right? So, yeah, there is a science to this. We get that. We get the science to humanity, right? However, we are different than dogs. We are different from other animals. We have the ability to make choices. We have the ability to, either limit or unleash moral behavior, towards one another. We have something innately within us that can give us an idea of what may be right or what may be wrong. So you take your own spirituality in your hands, when you begin to, try to say, what's a living soul and what's not a living soul.
Right.
Aaron,
I've always thought that, I like your explanation of that a lot. I've heard too many people believing that eternal life doesn't begin until your physical life here dies. And for me, that's sort of strange. and just hearing you talk, it gives me a little bit of jealousy of the Jewish faith, of the Midrash, however that's pronounced, where they argue this stuff. And I don't mean argue like you're wrong, I'm right, but let's get it bigger and bigger and really, really try to get our arms around it. So I miss that in the Christian religion, where it's more of the preacher tells you rather than let's figure it out.
The community. There is a prophetic stance that should be very viable in the church. I was thinking about that this morning, right? Because I had a meeting last night, and in an effort to disassociate the congregation with a herd mentality, right? Because if you create a herd mentality, what you do is that I think you stun creativity.
Right.
Like, nope, just act like everybody else, which is why we're having problems with this pandemic right now, because we have a fictional character that is in the Oval Office who believes that it's lights, camera, and action. And I will give him an Oscar. I don't know. I've never met any man that has portrayed this role so well for the silver screen. I'm gonna put that. I'm gonna give him an Oscar. I'm gonna make one. I'm just gonna send it to him. A hot dog and an Oscar. Here you go. There's your Oscar. No, you've been waiting on that. What was I talking about, man? I was like, gotten off.
So tell me who. I've had a what was that movie with Tom Hanks where he's the guy that run
Forrest Gump.
So I had a sort of Forrest Gump type life, and a couple of years ago I got because of some people that I was working with, I got to spend about a little over 2 hours with President Clinton in his office.
Oh yeah.
Lower Harlem. The man made you feel like you were the only guy in the room, and he made the other 5 people in the room feel the same way.
Yeah.
And he listened to you.
Right.
He was there. He was, some people are really wide, some people are really deep, some people are, rarely do you find people that are both deep and wide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That man is deep and wide.
Right. That's great, man. That's great. And that's a gift.
Yeah.
That is a gift. And it's a gift. It's also a skill that you can work on too. Yeah, it's a skill that you can work on.
Well, and I think part of his greatness, and I won't contrast it, I'll just say what I think about his greatness was he realized the limit of his role.
Mm-hmm.
He realized that his job, I believe he realized his job was to represent the people that he was serving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He wasn't serving the Democratic Party. He was serving the people of the United States of America, and realized, as we have in the financial sector, this thing called Triffin's dilemma, where the Fed has to worry about what's the impact of their actions. They're trying to support the US dollar, but they have to make sure that the economy globally grows really well so that in the long term, everybody can do better. I think that's how that guy served the people of the United States, was realizing that was a part of a much bigger thing. He had to balance what's the short-term needs of the country, what's the long-term opportunity for the country. Is it going to cost us something short-term to do this, to get us to a greater place, as you said a little bit earlier, planting apple trees, knowing we're never going to eat the fruit of those trees.
Right.
He's willing to sacrifice that short-term. I think that's where we got to go.
Yes. Yeah. It was, it was clear that Bill Clinton had something special on him. I've heard it, right? I was having lunch with E.J. Dionne, and he's sitting there talking about Clinton when Clinton was a student at Georgetown.
Wow.
Right, and he also talked about Obama when Obama was going to school at Harvard, right? And they were talking like it was. We saw something then.
Yes.
As there were students on campus, that there was something different about them, and something special, right? I appreciate, man, the academic integrity, man, that you also bring to this relationship, man. I've learned more about the Naval Academy just lately, just listening to you and listening to your friends, your colleagues. Some heavy guys, man. And we had Janie Miles on here. We had Michael Moore, who's so smart, he don't even know what the heck to do with all that. We'll have to tie Michael down, man. Just extract it out of his head, like put it in a syringe or something, just pull it out, turn it into software, Sound like a movie, huh?
Michael and I had a 45-minute call this morning where after our group, he started talking about Marxism and Darwinism and this and that and how this, and yeah, it's he's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's smart like Phil. Phil is just like a crazy smart.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to hit man. I wish I could. I'll call him right now.
Who you calling?
Phil.
Oh, good.
Man, that podcast, dude. I'm like, they said he green with envy. I was like Forest Green with envy.
Hey, did I share with the call here that time that the Chief of Naval Operations and the Christmas caroling party?
No.
You want me to? While you're calling Phil?
Hey Phil, how's it going, man?
Oh, good. Tell him I said hi.
Oh, good, man. Jeff said hi. It's good, man. What are you doing, man? Oh, you just got out of a chiropractor appointment? You should be pretty loose right now, man.
He's a good man.
Oh, all right. You want to promote your show, man? On this vidcast? You want to promote your show on this vidcast for a few minutes? Hey, so Jeff, why are you calling him?
Just to see if he answered me.
You know what?
I'm hanging up. Is he coming in?
Yeah. What's your email address? Is Phil at me, man. How do you do that? Dude, look, I was telling Jeff I listened to your podcast, bro. You know how they say you're green with envy? I was like Forest Green with envy, dude. You gotta show me how to do that, or you gotta do it for me or something. So it was great. I just can't get over it. I was like, and you were like lamenting, like, I don't know if I should do it. Did you see it on your phone yet? The invite?
It's me at phildillard.com.
Yes, Jeff, is me at phildillard.com.
Sorry.
No, he's trying to figure it out. Hey, Phil, I'm gonna hang up. You figure it out and you get on this call, all right? Okay. He's coming on. He was at the chiropractor.
Oh, good. So here's the story about the Chief of Naval Operations that at the Navy Yard every year at Christmas, the staffs go around and they sing to all the generals and admirals that live there. And my brother, retired admiral, was there. His son was the aide to the admiral in charge of the Navy Yard. And they go to admiral's quarters, and they had their front light on. And the front light meant they wanted the people to come and sing, and they were going to give them hot chocolate or whatever and stuff. And they got to the Chief of Naval Operations house last. This is the #1 admiral in the Navy, and this guy that was a friend of my brother's, a guy by the name of Greener. And Tim looks and the guy doesn't have his light on the front porch. My brother's going, son of a gun. Here's the Chief of Naval Operations, #1 admiral in the Navy, and he doesn't have the time for his people. And Tim's in back, sort of twisting his mustache that he does when he gets mad. You can always tell when he's twisting his mustache, stand back. And he looks behind him, and there's this guy in a hooded sweatshirt who's Admiral Greener. He had been part of the caroling party. And he steps up to the front and goes, "Come on in, people. Let's have a party."
Oh, wow.
That's a servant leader.
Right. That's the paradigm. And I think that's what, people are looking for. I told you I have a new digital assistant, right? And so she's helping me with my website. And, I told her, I said, I'm going after the unchurched. Yeah, I think that's what Jesus did. He went after the unchurched, and so I started asking her questions because she doesn't really go to church. And I said, what are you looking for? And she told me what she was looking for. And so, obviously what's going to happen is that, I'm going to design some of it around, what's going on in her head, man. And I think that, like getting back to like what our discussion was this morning, you, you saw how quickly that discussion turned from, I think, seemed like a we conversation to like a isolated me, conversation. And then I get back on it, and then you're like talking about love, and I was like, Jeff got it. He's reeling it in, because you can't dismiss that. You know, um, why do we do the things that we do? Why are we, compassionate to people that we don't even know?
Right.
That we don't even have to know. Why did I drop off water at that homeless encampment? Down the street from my church, right? I know I know no one out there. I have nothing to gain, by helping any of those guys or ladies, that are out there, right? However, what was just really clear is that, we got a surplus of water upstairs. It's just sitting here.
You got a Bible in front of you?
Mm-hmm.
Matthew 25:35.
Man, I got an alert for everything.
Good for you. Always looking for more alerts.
Battery's running low.
Matthew 25:35.
One of my classmates from school died, man.
I'm so sorry.
Yep, undergraduate at Bishop College, Stephen King, Pastor Stephen King.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he had been sick.
You're lucky that you got to share part of the time that he was on this planet with him.
Oh man, we had fun. I just started remembering, when you're in undergraduate school, we're talking like teens and early 20s.
Oh yeah.
I don't even want to talk. I guess people probably think like, oh, they were like religious majors and they were in school and they were studying to be pastors. Oh my God, it's like, I want to. Are they like the Sistine monks? I bet their life is just full of just self-sacrifice, and they just spend all day fasting. And man, dude, it was like, I was so messed up. I was like, I didn't know I could do all this and still be in a ministry. However, one of the challenges that you have, because I was 19, when I started preaching, and so one of the challenges that you have is, being that young, you have to grow up in ministry, but you also have to grow up as a man.
Hey, Phil just texted me. Can you text him the link? He's not getting on his phone real easy.
Oh, okay. Hey, tell him. Hey, Phil. Yeah. Let me see here. He asked me, can I text him the link? I can. I've done that before. All right. So let me hang up and text you the link. You're welcome. Bye.
Okay, I'm going to find Matthew 25:35 for you.
Okay, you do that. Where am I?
It's a good question.
All right. So let me text Phil this link, and then we can talk with him for a few minutes.
Okay.
And
Matthew 25:35. What were we talking about? Water?
we're talking about service, I think. And water was a part of the
Here it is. Matthew 25:35. For I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. There. It's right there. That one you can go pretty literal on as well as metaphorically.
Okay. I'm trying to maneuver this because I have Zoom on my phone.
Right.
I will be getting better at this because I have a digital assistant who's just
incredible,
bringing me into everything, man.
So that Matthew 25:35, though, I think we got it. We look at it literally. We also got to think about it metaphorically, analogically. I was hungry. Did you give me anything to eat? I was thirsty. Did you give me anything to drink? and there's the judgment side of it that follows, but it's not just, I was hungry for food. I was hungry for love. I was hungry for intellectual stimulus. I was hungry for all these things. And you didn't engage me.
Right.
I was hungry for your eyes when I was begging for change on the side of the street. Did you even notice me? If nothing else, make eye contact with that person that's asking for help. Acknowledge their humanity. That's there as well. It's if you don't have the money to give them right now, give them the presence of a smile.
Right. The contact, that piece.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. I got the meeting ID. I don't think there's a password. You never have to do a password, right, Jeffrey?
Somewhat.
I think you just get on here with this. But of course.
Well, it's a shame we had nothing planned today because we couldn't fill an hour.
Right. I want to get Phil on here real quick because I want to talk about this podcast real quick.
Okay. And I got to jump in a couple because I got to be up in.
Well, maybe we have to I just tell Phil that's okay. We'll get him back on later.
Well, if he gets on, let's get him on. It's never a bad day to get Phil Dillard on the show.
It's true.
We're going to be reading about that man.
He is the man. And he'll be like, yeah, I know Curtis and Jeffrey, and I just hope he doesn't do I shouldn't say it. That would be.
He's given a lot, and you just know he's going to give more.
Yeah, that I certainly believe.
Yeah.
Host a meeting.
Is he coming?
I'm like, dude, where am I drawing the blank, man? I'm like, really? Okay, so normally I have this automatic sign on. That's what I'm looking for. Like, I don't have to do all of this stuff. So it's with this browser here. Let's see about this right here. Dog, dag, nabbit. Oh, okay.
Coming?
I got it. Hold on a second. I got it now.
Good.
Okay. Got it. Password 082 102. This is a weird show.
How do you like my new kicks?
Those are cool. Yeah, you showed them to me the other day, man.
Sweet. Chicks dig them.
Okay. All right. So I sent him that. Hopefully he'll just boom. I'll see him right over there. This morning, right? I think the challenge to the church is easier to talk about it than it is to do it.
Yeah.
And when you start talking about doing it, which I thought was wonderful, how you keep, pushing that. Because I remember the kind of like the little pushback, your feeding program, when you first started, a little pushback, remember a little pushback, but you just forged ahead, man. And, you just made it happen. Yeah, you just made it happen, man.
Got to.
So
if not me, who? If not now, when?
Yeah. And surprisingly, no, it was interesting. I feel responsible for that because, you all wanted to, give me some money for my feeding program in Alameda County.
Yep.
And I said, hey, look, I appreciate it. You guys, it might be some people in your county. I know you guys are well heeled out there, but you never know. Maybe be some hungry people out there. And lo and behold, how many lunches have you served year to date?
About 5,523.
Mm-hmm. Just like
Give or
that.
take one.
He's going, I'm telling him we'll do it later.
No, you motivated us. You got us to think. It's so easy to be intellectual. A whole nother thing.
Well, okay, so let's talk about that. Yeah, it is easy to be intellectual. However, the phone down there. It's okay. Dial by your location. Okay. 1-669-900. But that's what Paul said, in that text in Acts, the 16th chapter. As he was walking by Mars Hill, he walked past and saw a stone with this inscription, to the unknown God. The scholars at the Areopagus sitting there philosophizing about God. But when you look at like Aristotle and Socrates, right? Plato specifically, and Socrates, that discussion led them to unhouse people.
Yes.
So, if your intellectual discussion is designed to create comfort food, then it's not going to move.
Right.
It's not going to move. However, if that discussion, even if it unhouses and unnerves you, right, then it's an effective discussion. It's something that's meant to be. It's something that is portable, right? Here we go. Yeah. It's something that's portable. It is definitely something that you can bring, to the table. And I think that's what most pastors try to do, is that they try to.
Hey, Phil.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for throwing the concussion grenade into the meeting this morning. That was awesome.
A concussion.
Thanks.
Cool, man. How's it going, Phil?
We asked if we had a good question. I was like, I have a really good question.
It was a good question. It was unnerving and unhousing. Unfortunately, I had to jump on the prayer call at my church, but I was kind of like, in and out, and it was like, can I take a nap?
No, it was well done, young man.
So people want to know what we talked about. The question that Phil asked this morning at 6:30, while everybody was having their morning Joe, was a question about evangelicalism. Is it live or is it Memorex? And I was fidgety, Phil, when you asked that question. And the reason I was fidgety was because I was trying to find my copy of Harvey Cox's The Secular City. I love that book.
I don't know that book.
You don't know, man? Listen, The Secular City was written in the 60s by Harvey Cox, and the person who set me off in that discussion was Professor Gillespie. Because he started going through some of the things that Cox talks about. J.C. Hokendick's suggestion that the church is the avant-garde of God, that group whose ties to particular political and cultural arrangements are sufficiently tenuous, that it is always ready to move to the next stage in history. He says it lives in tents, not in temples. It is a people whose life is informed by its confident expectation that God is bringing in a new regime and that they are already allowed to taste its fruits. Like the Spirit of God is always moving. And in the 60s, Harvey Cox we saw this change in America. And I think that was very important that Professor Gillespie brought out this morning, right? You know, as the generations began to move down the scale, you know, as the pig moved down the python's belly. I think we lost, you know, our taste got a little polluted.
Phil, what do you think about in a maybe kind way, maybe not, in a say in a civil way, unpacking code words? You know, if somebody says, "Well, I'm a so-and-so," and I'll use the word that you used this morning, I'm an evangelical. And for the three of us in the call, we view evangelical in a very different way than others do. So how do you, Phil Dillard, try to figure out what their definition of evangelical is before starting to talk to them?
It's a really challenging thing, or I should say it can be a challenging thing to do. What I've come to start doing is just to ask people what that means for them. And I asked them just that way. I said, well, that's interesting. I'm not really sure I know what it really means to be evangelical. How do you define that? How do you describe that? And then ask a few probing questions. And then if the probing question, actually, if the answer to the question meets, well, regardless of the answer to the question, I actually like to ask more questions to define it. I think actually I've been influenced by the lean innovation approach of the 5 whys syndrome, and use the 5 whys to like a 5-year-old. Keep asking questions until you get 5 layers down into someone's response. And usually for me, when someone gets to that point, they go, well, I guess the bottom line is you could say that I believe in X and Y, because as the first layer, they gave a description, and there's usually some sort of jargon that doesn't really, if I put on the learner's mind and assume that I don't really know anything, or I don't know what they're saying, I try and get someone to the next level and to the next level, and to really kind of understand what the really matters, what the words really mean. And once I get down to the depths of the words, then we have some bottom line truth and sometimes some ahas.
Phil, we're gonna go in a few minutes. Jeff has to hop, and I have to fix some lunch for someone that's very dear and near to my heart. But man, plug your podcast. Only if you show me how to do it.
Well, I'm happy to share with you the story behind the Customer Experience Show and the series of podcasts that I'm working on, and I'm happy to share with you the secret sauce behind how to make them great. And that's really, it's like, find great people to help you. That is the real answer. I have some really incredible partners, but the Customer Experience Show is sponsored by IBM. It gives us an opportunity to explore what customer experience is, and in a corporate, actually, I shouldn't even say just in corporate, in companies today, listening to the customer, engaging the customer, providing a unique experience is something that really matters in more businesses now more than ever. It seems to be everything is about how do you serve that customer. And to understand the customer, you need to find the customer, who is sometimes different than the user, right? Define the customer, define what experience it is you're trying to deliver, and how you're trying to deliver that experience. What I've learned in some of the conversations, well, in the work before this, was that experience is a very broad term, but lots of people pay for experience. People say, the beans in the coffee are probably 90%, 95% the same anywhere you go for coffee, but people pay more for a premium Starbucks experience or for a Nespresso experience. And there's a brand around the experience, and there's an association around the experience. And when you go to a hotel room, your function is have a roof over my head to sleep. That's the base function. But the experience that you get from different brands in hotels can change the whole reason for going, and the whole relationship with the brand, and create incredible amounts of value. So in the customer experience show, we want to uncover how people do it, how different corporations think about it, how they're manifesting it in the world, how it drives value, and then how you can and what factors drive experience outside of the high level of driving cost to it, or driving revenue or cost in a business. But if you think about things like social impact, social enterprise, and impact, and all the other components of how consumers think about brands today, it broadens the definition of customer experience to the point that it's not something you do to deliver in a product, but it's something you do to increase value. And every touch point across the organization that can actually drive value in your company, extend relationships with a customer, be a revenue center, be an extension of the ethos of the corporation. And we want to uncover that, because my whole mission is to uncover how we refine what we're doing today to 21st century capitalism, the capitalism that works for all the stakeholders and the shareholders in the ecosystem, not just a few. Is that helpful?
That's very helpful, man. I wish we had more time to talk about it. But I listened to you on Spotify. And so tell us how to get to your podcast. Tell us how do we listen to this?
You know what? We're on a number of different major channels. I believe we're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. There's a website, the customerexperienceshow.com. I'm sure I can make sure I'm giving the right links in there. And those are probably the best places to go right now to find the show. If you can't find it, let me know. And send me an email at me@phildillard.com, and I will connect you with where to go. And actually, you know what? If you have a company that you think does an incredible job in customer experience, and that people who are trying to understand and become world-class practitioners of customer experience, of delivering great value and experience with customers, I'd like to talk with them. I'd like to meet them and explore it and understand where to go. That's where we're going with this first podcast.
Okay.
Wait a second. Wait. What's your email again?
It's me, M-E, at phildillard.com. Me at myname.com.
Phil Dillard?
PHILDILLARD.com.
Great, thanks. I already had it. I just wanted you to be able to say it.
It helps for people who don't know me, or who might spell me a different way. I'm not related to the guy who plays for the Eagles, but I wear his jersey on Sundays because, how often do you have a player who has your name on the back?
What player is that?
A
Dillard guy.
He's on injured reserve right now, so you don't see a lot of him. But he's an early round draft pick from a couple years back.
I got it.
Funny quick story. There was back in the day, there was a musician named Jeff Healey, who was a blind musician. He played in the movie Roadhouse.
Yeah, I remember Jeff Healey band. Yeah.
So I picked up one of his CDs at Tower Records in San Francisco, and I go up to the counter to buy it, and I put my credit card down. The guy goes, "Hey, did you know you have the same name as that guy?" He said, "Yeah, I knew that. Thanks."
It's like really
I never heard that before. That's awesome. Yeah, is Andre Dillard, and there was another Philip Dillard in the NFL. He played for Nebraska, and he played for the Giants for a few years. But I beat him to the punch of getting PhilDillard.com, which I'm sure he was probably a little annoyed by. And occasionally I got some emails that were definitely intended for him and not for me. But but I pointed them in the right direction.
That's hilarious. I mean, I just
gave one more thing before we go, Phil. Talk
Yes,
1 minute, maybe a minute and a half about your salons that you do.
Oh, sure. Okay. I'm going to give you 90 seconds on the Ben Franklin discussion dinners. I run this group. It's called the Ben Franklin Discussion Group. And it emerged when 6 months before the 2016 election, I realized that people weren't talking to each other enough. They were talking past each other. So I was looking for inspiration. Being originally from Philadelphia, I went back to my favorite founding father. I read Ben Franklin's autobiography again. And what I found was he did these salons during the run-up to the Constitutional Convention that actually helped people in the city talk about their major issues and come to grips. So I started doing these dinners. I did them monthly at first on different topics. And then, because people over food, we had them talking. The format was simple. There were 12 people around the table, well, 10 to 20 people around the table. You could talk for 5 minutes. 3 minutes of talking on your topic, just your opinion and how you came up with it. 2 minutes for Q&A. And what we found was people told me that they had never been so heard. Everybody at the table was just trying to uncover how someone came to their point of view and not debate them about a topic. That in turn turned into more salons and a virtual group that we run online on Facebook. And we've learned a lot about policy and discussion. The takeaway for me is actually leading into the next phase where we'll talk with people. We'll learn to actually try and find a through line between the arguments of left and right and come to a better understanding of how we can move forward together in America, because our issues aren't all that different. And there's more that unites us than divides us. And we need to get past some of the basic separations to really finding a way for our political discourse and our political institutions to be meaningful. That's the mission of this, starting at a grassroots level in my living room and in my neighborhood. And now we have little salons that are popping up around the country.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's great. Well, definitely, man, you're doing a great job. I just gave you some love on Facebook for your show. And so I'm going to do whatever I can to help get it out there, man. So let's get back on the show again. So, hey, look, thanks a lot for hanging out with us today. I know it was an unusual show. And I want to thank my guests for not showing up today. And it's funny, I can get Cornel West on the interview, but it's like, but I can't get you now, can't I? Thanks, Phil, for showing up today. I tell you.
Always a pleasure. Always
Man.
great to hang out with you guys.
Thank
And
you.
we will look forward to doing incredible things with you and the community that you've got as you're building there.
Yeah, man. I think we got it going, brother. We're on the
Amen.
tarmac. We're on the tarmac.
Beat Houston.
Amen.
All right, guys.
Go
I love
Navy.
you guys. Have a great one, man. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us.
Love you both. Thanks so much.
On Momentum, a stewardship idea. Peace.